Are you an empath? For those who don't know what an empath is, it is somebody who feels everything around them. Like all the energy, people's energy, or you're just like almost attracting a little too much of other people's feelings. So let's say, I'll give you an example. You wake up in the morning, everything's good, you're feeling pretty great, and then your kids or your husband is not in a good mood, or if somebody around you is just kind of snaps at you and you kind of try to brush it off, but it's still, it just kind of comes into you. And then you'll go shopping. And even though you're not talking with anyone, you'll feel completely drained. Like you just walked into a room and everybody's baggage and all their stuff just went and just came onto you and just brought you to a whole other level. So you get neck pain, you're somebody that grinds your teeth, you get headaches, you get all sorts of physical and emotional, and then you might snap at someone yourself when you get home because you're just so drained from other people's issues. So if you're somebody also that deals with other people that come and talk to you, it's even worse. You feel that you're like, oh my God, do I not listen to them? And people that are empaths often say like, I cannot deal with negative people. I got to get them out of here. They cannot be around me because I'm gonna, like, I can't, I have to be positive. Okay. So empaths, this is a very important video because this is unlike other videos that you're going to watch, because I'm not just going to give you the simple techniques on how to protect your energy. I'm going to actually tell you that you can no longer absorb people's energy. It is very possible for this to happen in your life, that you can walk out there and actually give your energy to people instead of taking it from them. Okay. So first tip that you guys probably know because you Googled this already, baths, salt baths, very important to ground yourself. That's the simple technique that you, when you get home, shower in the evening. The best thing for empaths are shower in the evening to kind of get rid of all that. A lot of empaths do the tapping techniques. So there's tapping on the head, here, this, and it kind of protects your energy. And as you're tapping, all these emotions that are coming up, and you just kind of go over it. There's a lot of incenses. Some people use spiritual ways of like sages and crystals and all those things, and they just try to like center themselves. Meditation is something that works really well. But by the way, for empaths, when you're doing meditation, you need to ground yourself after every meditation, because what happens with meditation is that it opens you up to yourself and to consciousness and to everyone. You now become, all your energy centers, everything is just open. So what's hard with empaths is that when everything's open, you feel all great, but then you feel almost more drained when you meditate. So remember to always ground yourself. So when you do your meditations, try putting your feet on the floor. Try walking without socks around your house. Just kind of wiggle your toes after your meditation. Once you open your eyes, if you're feeling a little dizzy, you can wash your hands, put some water on your face. Use grounding things. Grounding things is pretty easy. Rocks, anything that's ground, earth, water, like all the grounding things, light a candle, fire, the stuff that's on the earth, you can just use those techniques. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Empaths, you can take away the empath by still being empathetic, okay? So what empaths is that we don't want to disconnect from anyone because we have a tendency to show compassion and love. So we want to connect with everything. That's why we're so open. The problem is when we are so open and we're taking everybody else's energy, is that it's actually our own. Listen to this. I am a shadow coach, and the reason I started doing this is because I myself was an empath and I didn't like feeling how I felt, and I was so affected by everything that I discovered shadow work. I started off with a book from Debbie Ford, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And what happens is that we are people that are constantly looking for compassion and love and light and to help others and in order to help ourselves. And we're constantly there's this search for more out there, right? The thing is that this life, we are told to not deal with the negative and just see the positive. But we must understand that we are everything. The sun and the moon are just as important, night and day, yin and yang, everything. And I repeat this in a lot of videos because all of it is needed. What happens with empaths is we don't want to deal with the negative, or we go too much into the negative. Like, listen, I'm like this and I am, and I'm just, you have to accept that of me. I get aggressive, and your moods tend to be like, you're very sunny and you're wonderful and you're happy. But then when you're in that empathetic moment and you're drained, you're at your worst, and you can be snappy, angry, sad, more emotional, you're crying for everything. So the best thing you could do is shadow work. So I'm going to teach a lot of people about shadow work, and there's a lot more teachers that do. There's Teal Swan, Deepak Chopra, and Marianne Williamson, Debbie Ford. They have books called The Shadow Effect. There's another YouTube video called The Shadow Effect online. It is so important to do shadow work, because what happens is when you bring all the negative to the surface, you stop judging yourself, okay? Because you now kind of accept the negative of what happened with you, and then you accept it in others. You know that nobody's perfect, and everybody has these feelings and everybody has these emotions. And all of a sudden, you get a little more compassionate with you. And then because you're fully accepting, you now know who you are. Because what's happening in this life is empaths only know half of themselves. The other half, they're not familiar with because they don't want to deal with it. Or they probably know. When you go to bed, you know who you are. And do you ever notice that empaths attract partners that always want to change them, parents that want to change them? Everybody's like, oh, you're like this, you shouldn't be like this, or you're too overdramatic, you're too loud, you're too quiet, you're too shy, there's always something that they're trying to change of you. The reason this is because you are rejecting half of yourself. If you reject half of yourself, then other people are going to reject half of you. So imagine I'm telling you, you can accept all of yourself. When you accept all of yourself and you own who you are, when you walk into a room, nothing will affect you anymore because you know who you are. You will not be affected by collective. You won't be affected by opinions that other people have of you. You won't be affected by their own energy, and you'll almost be the observer. You'll start looking at them and having compassion. That's like, oh, that person's going through something rough. And you'll almost walk around with this, as my friend calls it, an invisibility cloak, or this like big plexiglass. That's what I use it. You're walking around and your energy is shining through. The self-love, the self-acceptance is shining through. And what happens, okay? What happens during this time? If you guys know about energy, everything, Nikola Tesla, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, if you want to know the key to life and the secrets to life. So everything is energy, right? Everything has energy. And if you guys don't believe me, on a side note, go check out my other video of how to create energy balls yourself. You can actually feel the energy. Anybody can do this, okay? So it's actually like magnetic. Everything has energy around it. So if you are radiating total self-acceptance because you've now dealt with everything, when you walk into a room, whoever is not on that frequency won't be able to be in the room. They won't be able to. There's an example that my daughter and I, when we started, she was very young when we started this work, and we were doing a lot of energy work, and we were walking down the street and we look, and pretty far away we see this woman, really negative, very angry, and she's walking down the street and you could see her, something must have happened to her pretty bad. And as we arrived at the corner, she was walking the whole way down from the main road, and she got to the stop sign and crossed the street, and she wasn't even paying attention. She just crossed the street and then walked on the other side of the road. And my daughter, she was 6 years old at the time, she noticed. She was like, Mom, she didn't want to be in our energy because we were so happy. So a 6-year-old noticed this, okay? She said it herself. Because what happens is that we're radiating so much positive, self-loving energy that when somebody is not feeling that way, they won't be able to come into your reality. And if somebody does, if somebody is negative and comes into your reality, it's because there's an aspect of you that's unhealed, that's still feeling that. And that's okay. Instead of looking at them and going, oh, you're so negative, get out of my life, you can actually look at them and be like, oh, crap, I didn't feel that, I didn't heal that part of myself. So you're like, oh, what is this person talking about? So you become compassionate, you listen to what they're saying, and they're being all negative and maybe they're judging you. and they're like this and that, and you're feeling like this, and you're like, oh my God, so negative. You're so negative about my life. But maybe there's a part of you that still feels it and you still believe it, because you wouldn't get so upset if you didn't believe what they were saying, right? So you're like, oh, wait a minute. That person's teaching me something. So everything becomes a lesson. Everything just becomes compassion. There's no more judgment for anybody. Everything is kind of alleviated. You feel, and you just walk into a room and you vibrate whatever you're feeling. So your energy will be so strong that you will still be able to show empathy, but on a higher level, because now your compassion is just pure existential love. It's no longer based on if they're going to affect you or not. So I did another video on shadow work. You can go check it out. It is pretty hard, and I'm going to do more videos on shadow work, and it's not easy. And I tell in every video, you have to be very patient with yourself, but I trust that you can do this. And please check out all the other videos. I'll put the links in the bio of everything that I told you about, the books and the videos I told you about. And I hope this helps somebody out there. Okay? And love to all you empaths.